So in this video I'm just going to show you really quick how I do a mixed media background in my journal, and a lot of times I will use a page that I've already used as a kind of cleaning off for my palette from a previous project, or I'm just testing out stamps or testing stencils. So this is something I've already done, so I won't be demoing how to do this. This is just, you know, finding a page in your journal that's sort of already messy or already has something on it, or maybe it has some failed attempt at something and you don't like it. This is a great place to start with something that you don't feel very attached to. Or you just can break out your oil pastels, do some random scribbles, spray a couple of spray inks or whatever random paint you have, scrape it on there, let it dry, and then we'll go from there. So that's where this is at right now, and then I'm just going to show you how I like to add to it and make a really beautiful mixed media background. This is one of the final steps. This is where we will add a little bit more layers of color with these Liquitex paint markers. I really like the paint markers, especially the ones that come in fluorescent, like the pink, green. This one isn't fluorescent, but it's a really bright green. Also not fluorescent, but still very bright aqua. I also like to use red and gold. Metallic is really fun as well. Besides the paint pen, or the Liquitex paint pens, I also like to use the really ginormous Sharpie water-based paint pens in black, white, and red. They also come in yellow and blue, I believe. It's just nice to add a little bit of kind of another layer. These pens also travel really well, except air travel. They will kind of explode. I have not explode, but they just get weird. So they're a little bit weird to travel with. Maybe best to pack them, like not pack them in the, I don't know if you can take these on the airplane with you, but anyway, these don't really travel really well, but they're still fun to work with. So usually what I like to start off with is just kind of, I'll just look at overall what the colors I have on the canvas, or this is in my art journal actually, but a lot of times I will use these on canvas as well. And this looks overall kind of dark and mostly primary colors, so that's when I like to break out like really bright colors like the aqua and the green. I already have a lot of red going on, so I might leave red for a little, you know, maybe somewhere else. So you have to shake them up really good. And they just come in these square or kind of rectangle sort of tip. And I don't know, I just like to kind of blot them down. They make really nice little marks, and they get pretty messy pretty quick, so you can also make little drips with them. You can kind of like shake them on to the background a little bit, make little splatters. You just want to make sure you have something in the back, you know, underneath, because they are acrylic. They're water-based acrylic, but they will kind of stain, so definitely don't wear your nice clothes. I learned the hard way. You can, while they're still wet, you can kind of move them around a little bit. Just know that they will activate any kind of, like, see, this kind of got the blue and the red mixed together. I think this was a spray ink that was not permanent, so it will mix with like watercolor, so just be aware of that. And if, you know, if this is getting too dark, you wait for this to dry, and what I like to do then is come back and add white and kind of make little dots or something. I already have a lot of white in the background, so, you know, right now is just all about balancing light and dark, bright and muted, and just sort of kind of finding the balance. This is more of the intuitive part where you might want to play and experiment and see, you know, what works for you. So maybe in this little dark area, this is sort of dry now. So if it's getting, you know, kind of a yucky color, I might come back with little, there we go, little dots. This will start to activate the layers underneath, which is kind of fun. Now this little weird orange color is coming out. So it's always a little bit of a surprise when you're working with lots of layers that are water soluble, meaning that they will wake up again when you add water. So just remember that, like that these will kind of start to activate those other layers. This is right over the top of the watercolor, which is not waking up, so that's interesting. But the sprays, for some reason, maybe they just like to mix up. They kind of start to bubble up through this, the top layers, which is fun. And then any kind of extra pools you just drip down. You can even have another journal waiting to kind of get those little drips. You don't want to waste that. Or maybe even an extra little, that's how I often make these collage papers, is I have extra paper and I just use it to clean up the surface, or just drip from one surface to another. So I want to make sure I don't mix the markers, because if I go over, you know, and then if I bring this marker onto here, that is going to get on here and it's going to sort of contaminate it and make it all messy. So I'm making sure not to cross over the pen area or the marker areas that I have put down. The fluorescent is interesting because it's transparent, so where you'll get white, the white markers are a little bit more opaque, which means you can't really see through. The fluorescent will you kind of see through. So like if you put this pink over the green, you're not going to get a nice pop of pink, you're going to get sort of a muted color because it's sort of going to, the green is sort of going to show through a little bit. So just be aware of that as you're going. And then actually a lot of this is just kind of discovery and play. So you really don't want to think about it too much. You don't want to overthink it. And here I am just wiping off the extra paint onto another piece of paper, kind of cleaning up the area with another piece of paper. And then this will make a really nice collage piece later. So I've got some more interesting paint layers going on. I might even press down a little bit harder, make it a pool, and then let it drip down. And this is the part where it's kind of fun to watch the other paint marker colors mix together. So you've got this nice pink stream mixing in with this white stream of ink. That's fun. This layer could get really overdone if you're not careful. You definitely don't want to mix too much. Sometimes I will come in with black or white if it's getting too light. If I have a light area that I want to add a little bit of darkness to, I can do that, just being careful not to go over the pink parts that I already put down because it's still wet. You could also be patient and wait for it to dry, but I am impatient. I don't like to let things dry, so I sort of have learned to work around little areas. You can also get a hairdryer or a drying tool if you really want to dry things up, or if you want to move the pools of paint around. That would be fun too. But in this instance, this is where I kind of like to put a little bit of the paint and marks and just move it around and just make it, I don't know, just have fun with it. There's no real plan at this point. Just taking some paint, using little, using my hands as instruments too is fun. Like instead of a paintbrush, you can just use your hands and move all these little blotches around. So once I feel like this is starting to get, done, I can let it dry or go to another surface and come back, let it dry, and then that's when I'll come back with the final layer, which will be maybe some words written on another piece of paper. Sometimes I'll even draw a face in here and just see what happens, what things will mix when I start coloring the face in. That's always fun too. And then here's a little bit of gold I'm going to add too. I might just kind of add little splatters, being careful, not to go over any wet parts because I don't want that, the tip to get messed up. So metallic is fun. It kind of adds just another little bit of shine, and I don't know, it's just interesting because if you hang this up on the wall, as you walk by, the light is going to catch it and you'll get these little glimmery spots, which is really kind of fun. You don't really see it until you move around and see the light reflecting off of it. So okay, so there, I think that's gonna be all for that part. I'll let it dry and then I'll come back and add some words, and I'll kind of talk about what kind of words and what kind of phrases I like to use. So in this final layer, or what I've decided is the final layer, because actually I could keep going. At this point, if it's getting too crazy, you can start muting things down by adding tissue paper, so you can see a little bit through there. You can add some more collage papers. You can just keep building up these layers, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is done here. I really like the way this looks, and I'm ready to add a little saying. So I'm going to use some vintage kind of, I don't know what you call this, ledger paper. And this already has something printed on it. This would be fun too to tear out and add to the background. But I'm just going to use this because it's a nice neutral color. It's sort of a kind of a faded green color, and I just like the numbers and the lines. So I might tear a little bit of that off. And then I want to decide what I want to say. And sometimes it's just the first thing that pops in my head. Sometimes it's a song lyric that's hanging out in the background, you know, if I'm listening to music. It could be a favorite poem, it could be a favorite saying, it could just be one word that's really calling to you. I think, yeah, I think anything that, you know, you want to put in there, it's your art journal. You know, you can, or you can just leave it as it is, that's fine too. Or you can add an image, you know, anything, a person, a bird, animal, anything can go on here. But I want to put something in the background. I'm thinking, of course I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of what I want to put. A lot of times it just sort of comes to you, you know, maybe it's, you know, be the light, or shine bright, or the one I did the other day, I was thinking it was a song that was playing. It was She's Gonna Listen to Her Heart. So it could be anything. It could just be one word, love, brave. How about be brave? We'll do that. And you kind of have to decide how big the letters are going to be. Sometimes you can write it and then start to tear it down. We might do that. I'm just using an oil pastel. This is just I think it's a Crayola brand. They're really nice to write with. They're really smooth, and the colors come out really nice. They don't have to be super expensive. And they're smudgy, so this is a layer you want to be careful too, because, I mean, it will move around a little bit. That might kind of add to the messy effect if you want that smudginess. But just be aware, if you're not super into smudgy, then, you know, don't overhandle it. So, you know, you can write your own handwriting, your own little font. I like it to be kind of messy and crazy, so I'll do, you know, uppercase, lowercase, kind of go over it again, maybe darken some areas. Make it stand out. If you smudge it, it sort of starts to get a soft, focused look. So if you want a real bold look, you want to press really hard. Okay, so that's looking pretty good to me. I want to trim off some of this extra, though. And then you play around with where you want it to be. I usually put mine off center a little bit. Just seems to work. Seems to look more balanced. Kind of something right in the middle. I guess you could do the middle too. That would just be like, you know, you could even add little arrows pointing to it. I'm going to just go off the side a little. And what's fun about having these messy backgrounds is that every bit of it is so beautiful. Sometimes it's hard to cover up. Sometimes I might scan it first because, you know, I end up loving the way it looks. So I'll take a picture at this point or scan it, because you can always use this as a beautiful collage paper later. If you just take a picture, print it off in your scan, you know, or print it off, you know, in your printer, and then you can just rip this up and, you know, keep making more art from it. That'd be great. Okay, so you decide where to put it. You glue it down. I just use a regular old glue stick, and then you're good. And the last thing I did was add a little bit of marker to the cutout paper where I added Be Brave, just to blend it in a little bit. So I've added a little bit of, I glued it down, and then I just added a tiny bit of the paint markers just around the edges, just really lightly, and then smudged it a little bit, just so it blends in a little bit better with the background. And that's it, that's the final step.